This is a basic tutorial on the use of one of the Audio Technica microphones, how to make adjustments, how to notice that there's something off with it. So let's look at the basics. Here we have, if you look at this wire here is the antenna. This here goes all the way to the microphone here. There is a window here. This will give you a display of what's going on with the microphone, what's the frequency, what's the battery setting, so on and so forth. There are 4 buttons here. This is the power button here. This is the set button. And these are movement buttons to make changes to the settings. So the other thing that you have access to here is you have a slider. Now the slider has 3 positions. That's the most open position. Then there's cover the set buttons, and then there's cover all buttons. This would be if you would have it in this setting if you gave it to a landmark forum leader, but the sound person was actually handling the mute. If the landmark forum leader is handling their mute, then you do it like this, so that access to the mute button is there. And then if you have to make setting changes, which by the way, nobody should be making setting changes without talking to technical support first. But if you have to, this is what it would be. Also here, you have the clip on the back. And I'm going to demonstrate, if you pull up on this, it actually allows you to take it out, so if you ever have to change one, it just bends sort of like a paper clip in that respect. And that I made a reference to a paper clip does not mean that you should try to use paper clips to replace them. Okay, also here you have the battery. Now there's a lock position. Currently it's in the unlock position, which allows these two to be pulled in and open the door. So both of these, there's arrows on them, you squeeze them together and it opens the door. If you want to make sure that doesn't happen accidentally, you press this over to the lock position, and then this one, it will not. Doesn't matter how many times you push this, that door won't open. All right. Operation of the microphone itself. So if you press and hold this, turns the power on. You'll notice the green light here. That indicates that the mic is on. And if I talk into the microphone, you'll notice I'm now mic'd. If you touch that power button, it goes to red and they're muted. That's why when you cover this, you can make sure that the landmark forum leader doesn't accidentally press buttons they shouldn't. Not that they would ever do that, but it happens. And so then they can just tap it and it goes on, and tap it and it mutes. If you want to turn it off, press and hold the power button again, and it goes off. All right, something else. If you have to change out the microphone, this barrel, if you pull on the barrel, it'll come off. To put it back on, just now notice I'm rotating it in my fingers like this. Just rotate it lightly until it actually slides into the slots. It only goes in one way, although it looks like it might go in multiple ways. If I try to push it, it won't go in, won't go in. I keep rotating, rotate, up, drop down, and then presses in. So that's how you actually put the microphone in. If you have to, let's take a look at the basic adjustments now. So I'm going to turn the microphone on. And you'll notice there's a frequency setting. This one's set to 548500. The frequency is in 2 sections, upper and lower, 3 digits for each. Upper is 548, lower is 500. So if for some reason you needed to change that frequency, and we'll go over changing the frequency in a different video and why you'd need to do it, but if you need to change any of the settings, then you press the set button. Now once you press the set button, you can now rotate through all the different values. So what are the things you can change? There's frequency, there's RF low, and the 2 settings are RF low and RF high. What that means is that's the strength at which the microphone itself is sending a signal to the receiver. In RF low, according to the manuals, it is a factor of 10. If you put it to RF high, it goes to a factor of 30. Chews up battery life a lot faster and also saturates the room with more frequency. So in most of our rooms, RF low is fine. If you have a microphone that has to be far away from the receivers, you can use RF high. If you needed to change that, so I'm going to go back into the set mode. I'm going to go down to, oops, I muted it. I'm going to click the set button, go back into set mode. I'm going to hit the down button although they're left right here, but it would be the down button. So I would hit the down button, and then I would press set again, and then I would use the down button, and it rotates through those. And it's like, oh, I don't remember what it was. I need to change it back. Okay, well, that's fine. Just tape. If all you do is tap the set button, then it's going to go back to rotating through the options. But now I actually want to change it to RF high, so I press the set button. I change my setting, and I press and hold the set button, and it will flash stored. That means it's done. Now I'm going to change this back to RF low because that's where it ought to be. So I'm going to press and hold. I'm sorry, tap it. You tap that one. Down to set up what you want, and then press and hold until it says stored, and then you're done. The next one down is the gain level. These microphones can go from -6 decibels to 0 decibels to +6 dB to +12 dB. dB, decibels, interchangeable. The standard setting for these should be 0 dB on all of them, period. By changing the volume here at the microphone, it is a very drastic change. A 6 dB change in the microphone is fairly large, because that 6 dB is then multiplied by the decibel gain at the actual amplifier in the rack. So you're actually making much more than a 6 dB change. It's just 6 dB at this microphone. It's then 6 dB times whatever the decibel gain is at the rack. The microphone level should only be changed at the rack. These, or the mic actual volume should only be changed at the rack. And there will be a separate video on how to do that. So the other settings that you can go through. So let's go through. We were at frequency. We had RF low high. I explained that. 0 dB. This is the decibel level of the actual volume output versus the frequency strength, but the volume output of this is the volume output. Go down 1 and no lock. It doesn't do a lock on. The lock has to do with the AB settings. It's not something you'll have to ever worry about, so it should all be set to no lock. And mic. So this one, if I press set, the choices are instrument or mic. These packs are set up to work with instrument pickups, and it drastically drops the volume level, because if you put this microphone next to, say, some violin speakers or on a pickup for a trumpet, that would be ungodly loud. So if you put it on instrument, it readjusts the microphone to be used as an instrument pickup versus a voice pickup. It should always be set to mic. So notice I just tapped the set and it flashed escape because I wanted to get out. So the next one is group. Don't worry about group. That should never be changed. And then the presets, that's it, to go back to the standard presets, and then quit. So I go down to quit, I press set. Now if you just leave the microphone alone, it'll eventually go out. So again, the only thing you might actually have to change is a frequency, and only if technical support tells you. Do not, absolutely do not change the volume settings on the microphone unless, again, technical support tells you to do so. That's the general tutorial on these microphones. Okay, so we will now press and hold, and it goes off.